Welcome back to A Faster Me. This is the Wolfe Grand Prix, women's 4-5 and masters 35 plus. I'm out here with two teammates today, Kat and Ashley, aka Katrina Stengo and Ashley Baker. And this is a great event put on by Serious Cycling. The safety is great. It's, coned off. The setup with police and everything is really nice. Even the porta potties are nice with, washing stations inside. So, nice little touch there. But yeah, it's a good event and really nice course, nice area. So, yeah, we like coming out. So my goal was, as usual, to get a, good start. I'm going backwards here, doing a pretty good effort.
Yeah, this course is it's a pretty fast and flowing course. Not much elevation to it. There's a little bit of an incline on the front straight, kind of like a false flat, and then maybe a little 1% riser just before you get to turn one. But other than that, it's a really fast and flowing course. So it's really important to stay tucked in just because the speeds are kind of high. And then on this backside right here, there's a headwind. So you really want to be in the draft as much as possible.
And being in the draft as much as possible is not what I excelled at this race. The woman there in front on the left-hand side is, I think this is the second time I've seen her race. Her name is Dara. Should look at the full name, but she has some experience, and at one point, I'm hoping I can see it and it didn't pass, but she was trying to educate the whole group on where to take the corners as we were hugging the right side, and she was instructing everybody, hey, stay to the left and this is where you turn. So I'm hoping we can see it. It might be this corner coming up, but hopefully we can see and point that out.
Yeah, and something about that, obviously most of you that watch these videos, you guys know I talk about the 4-5 race, the women's 4-5 race, and how the cornering is. But there's always some context that you need to.
Yeah, it looks like this is where it is, so you can't hear her talking, but I believe she's. But coming into the corner.
Into turn one?
And now, without the sound, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm messing up the whole.
Well, I'm just saying
video.
It's a straightaway, so yeah, maybe in turn one she's gonna say it. But yeah, some context to that. So there's not just one perfect line. The line, or how far you are wide, or how close you are to a curb, depends on how fast you're going. It's not just one perfect line. I know I like to say that you should be starting on the outside, then hitting the apex and then taking it back to the outside. That's kind of the out in out approach. But you don't want to be like far to the left where those cones are over there unless you're going really fast. So at this speed, like 20 miles per hour, being about in the middle of the road, you can even be to the white lines on the right, and you'll still make this turn 100% fine with good clearance.
And here was one of my first really big efforts. Kat does an effort here off the front, and you can see I'm not quite connected.
Yeah, and honestly, you shouldn't be connected here. Your teammates off the front, you can see there's a gap to you. You should be soft pedaling here, maybe doing threshold at best, letting her get a little gap and let someone else chase. Right now, you're basically chasing down your teammate.
Well, and that's what I decided to do after I did not have the wheel, and so there Jules goes by to chase. But I initially was in her draft, but I can see on the video that I wasn't ever quite in her draft, and so, I thought I was going, and the effort was just way too hard.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing: if you let her go earlier, let people pass, you should have been on Jules then Will, and then the four of you actually could have just said, "Hey, let's work together and break away." Because you kept doing an effort, then by the time the pack is coming by now, you're a little bit burnt out and it's a little harder to get back in. So yeah, you just got to be quick and always thinking of that. Like, unless you guys plan to go to the front and do a hard effort, you got to let it go.
Yeah, so I think that was the first of several mistakes that I made in in this race.
I wouldn't say they're mistakes. It's just, you chose to race the way you did. Um, being that there was a game plan, you didn't stick to the game plan, obviously. But, sometimes the game plan changes. Sometimes it goes out the window. That was Ashley that went around the outside there making a move, and she moved up about 5 spots. So, yeah, it's not always a mistake. When you're learning at these levels, don't be so hard on everything's a mistake. It's not a mistake.
And is this the front straight right here?
Yes, it is.
And this is where I was I was suffering right here, I think, because of that hard effort. And I got back over, and I'm in the back of the peloton here, but I just said, okay, I need to save a little because the effort was just so hard. I was starting to suffer. So just tried to kind of reconnect and try to move up a little bit here.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, like, to put in perspective. You say it was a hard effort, and people watching may not have seen it as a hard effort, but I want to say you're at 500 and something watts, and you really have to think about it, like when you're doing 500 watts, like how long can I do 500 watts? So 500 watts for 30 seconds is a huge effort for you, like for where your power level is at. So yeah, you just you got to keep those things in perspective. I know you're not looking at your power meter and stuff like that, but you got to be able to feel it, that's like way too hard of an effort at that point in the race.
It's definitely something I can improve on because the perceived effort, excuse me, the perceived effort sometimes with the adrenaline is not accurate. And so here I, am kind of drafting, but still a little bit too far back in the group.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're somewhat fine here. It just seems like you're not committed. Are you on that wheel? Are you not on that wheel? Like, what's your commitment here? Honestly, you can slide up there in between those two riders. I know people don't like being close, but I mean, if you're gonna race, you got to be close. So yeah, you want to slide up there. The tighter the pack is, the faster everyone goes, and the more energy you save. So if you see Naomi's wheel there, you can just say, okay, I'm gonna slide up and get on Naomi's wheel. Then you see Noemi was kind of half wheeling there at the moment. But yeah, you kind of slide up there now. But I think sometimes you just got to make a commitment and say, this is where I want to be. Let's move up and save some energy.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the first times that I did go up in between people, kind of in the middle of the group. And it's definitely not something I'm so comfortable. And here I see Naomi make a move, and I'm a little bit slow in reacting. And why am I chasing this? I don't know.
Well, I think one of the things is too, it's not that you're slow in reacting. You actually were not on her wheel. So if you're going to let someone have a 15-meter gap or whatever, that's a huge, hard effort that you're doing on your own. So yeah, it wasn't worth chasing it for me. And
Yeah.
You see the effort that, I think that was Sherry?
Yes.
If you see the effort Sherry's putting in, like, it wasn't worth chasing it for me. Especially since you just did a hard effort like half a lap ago. Yeah, I would have let that go and let somebody else chase it and then jump in and see. Now you burned energy again, and now it's hard to jump back in.
Mm-hmm. And I think I'm a little bit delusional in the race of thinking that I'm on a wheel because I did not know that there was such a gap to even start with. I was really never, like you said, on her wheel. So yeah, that was hard effort for probably not a good reason, number 2.
Yeah, it's just kind of watts wasted there. Like I said, you're racing your bike, so it doesn't really matter what you're doing. You're out there racing. But yeah, in general, yeah, you just gotta be more in touch with those things, like how close am I? Is this worth chasing? Does this fit our game plan? All those kind of things, because they're hard efforts, they're big efforts, and of course you pay for them later in the race.
And the rider right there in the kind of pinkish purplish jersey right on the far right, that is Michelle. Met her this weekend. I think this is the first time I've seen her out racing. She has a triathlon background, so nice to see some new strong riders out in the field.
Yeah, I'm gonna call that Plum. I'm gonna just
Plum.
Go ahead and call it Plum. But yeah, she would have been a good wheel to stay on, and you just kind of drifted here. Again, I think right now you're just not racing with like a real intent. You know what I mean? It's kind of floating around a little bit. Like here, you move back up, but then you move to the side, so you're catching a little wind. Say just work on your patience. Be a little patient. Sit here on the shell for a little bit. Recover. You did some. You're pretty recovered, as you can see. Your heart rate has dropped. But yeah, just save some energy. No one's doing anything. There's no urgency right now, and there shouldn't be.
It's really interesting coming off the team time trial that we did the day before. My legs felt really good. I was focused. And I think this race, I just was lacking a little, maybe discipline, intensity, because there was a few times that I just didn't want to do that like hard effort to get back on a wheel. And so I don't know how much was the hard efforts I did, how much was maybe a little bit of laziness or just a lack of mental focus, but I definitely didn't feel so sharp this race.
Well, and another thing that plays a toll on it is you guys usually race early in the morning or earlier in the morning. And because my race was so early in the morning, by the time you race, we're like, I want to say we're already up for 8 hours, because, we live so far away. So we're up at 4 o'clock, you're racing at noon. And yeah, it's kind of hard sometimes just like to stay fueled, to stay hydrated while you're waiting for races. That's Kat right there in front of Ellen, and Kat did a great job. She had a great race. I think one thing Kat can do is probably ride one gear heavier. Sometimes she bounces in the saddle with the fast cadence, and so that just sometimes means you're slightly under geared. And I think she'll benefit sometimes for just one gear harder, just to slow the cadence down a little bit. You can't see it now, but you'll see it on some of her hard efforts during the race.
And like you said, kind of coming in with a strategy and then not sticking to that strategy at all. And I didn't feel a lot of kind of pop in my legs. So kind of changed the strategy up completely. But how, kind of looking at the race, don't know how much of that was the hard efforts I did versus just really not having it in my legs either.
Now, did you hit the curb right there?
No.
Okay. It just looked like you hit the curb and then your helmet kind of shook a little bit, so it looked like you may have scraped the curb with a pedal. Hopefully you didn't.
No, not even
Yeah,
close.
hopefully you didn't. But yeah, I do think you were way too far inside there. The entire group was, but that's just not a place that I want to find myself too often. So I think you just got to pay attention to some of these little things. I know it may sound like nagging or whatever, but it all matters in the long run of just being able to carry speed, being efficient, things like that. It also matters with safety. The more you put yourself in a place where there's a small margin of error, the more times that, those errors end in a crash or something.
So tell me, why am I doing 400 watts out here by myself on the right-hand side of the peloton?
Yeah,
Got a good answer?
I'll let you answer that one. Yeah, I don't even know why you're doing 250. I mean, all of that's VO2.
Well, now I'm going backwards doing 250.
Yeah, exactly. All of that's like well above your threshold. So, yeah, it doesn't make much sense, to be honest with you. But I think, honestly, it's not a bad thing. Like sometimes disappointment comes into it, but it's not truly a bad thing. What it is I think, this is just my opinion, like you said, you had a really good day on Saturday. I was kind of like a wounded dog or whatever, and you guys pulled me around the TT course, and I had a heart issue. So you and Marlena felt really strong on Saturday, and I think it was really just a confidence boost. So then when you come out here, you have like a little bit of false confidence, like you have a little bit overconfident. So now you're out there with like, oh, I can do these hard efforts, I'm feeling good, and it's no big deal. So you're kind of putting yourself in the wind, taking some things for granted. And yes, you can do them, you have a lot of ability, you have the power to do it, but in the long run, when it comes down to the last lap or two, then people have a little bit more left in the tank than you do. And that's why you switched up the strategy, or you will switch up the strategy, when really just to serve your team better, stuff like that. Even though you're feeling good, that's when you want to, save it, stick to the plan, and then you can really explode on that last lap or two.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, as different courses play out so different. So that front straightaway, I found myself just dying almost every lap. Was able to kind of make up ground throughout different parts of the racetrack, or race course. I don't know. It's not really a racetrack, I guess. So yes, some courses play out just differently. So that front straightaway was maybe a little bit in my head because I was struggling so much. So then you're thinking of the end.
Yeah, but you just got to put it in perspective. You struggled so much on the front straight because you were using so much power on this back straight. So.
And here's another effort. I follow Dara, which I like following women with experience who.
Yeah. You just need to be closer, though. You need to be closer and look at the effort. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not an easy effort. So, of course, a minute later, because you guys are doing, I mean, it's almost 3 minutes a lap around this course. So, yeah, you're over threshold. It's a big effort. And it started off with a 400 or 500 watt spike, which, again, that's basically a sprint. How long can you hold this? You know what I mean? Without the sprint, I know you can hold and then you go to the front. So, yeah, of course you're going to struggle on the front straight if you're doing this many watts on the back straight every lap.
And I was thinking if we had a gap, because she was looking back, and I thought maybe if we have a gap, working together, but then I flicked an elbow and nobody came by me, so I kind of shut it down. And I was even second guessing myself if I really saw her flick an elbow or not, because she was looking back, and we talked a little bit after, she was kind of seeing who was coming with her. But yeah, so that was effort number 4.
I don't know, but here's a mistake though. This is a mistake. All right, you flipped an elbow, nobody came through. You sat to the left, you went to the left. When the peloton comes through, you can't wait like this. You got to get back in earlier. It may feel like a hard effort, but you got to get back in earlier, and you'll be more protected, and then you'll be up in 8th place or something instead of back here at the very end of the peloton. And now you have to put in a max effort again to get back on. You got to slot back in.
So what I'm hearing you say is it's not a good idea to completely get dropped after being in the front and then struggle to get back on the back like I do repeatedly in this race.
Unless you want to do a TT effort again. Yeah.
TT was a lot of fun, so.
Yeah, as you can see, like that's the thing. It's not a knock on you as far as your ability. You have all the power and everything else. I think you just got to really not take it for granted and concentrate on your racecraft and just get better there. We talk about it a lot, and it's hit and miss sometimes. So really, it's just like your focus. You got to stay focused through the race, and just be more consistent. Trust me, I wish I had you guys' ability to get dropped, catch back up, do these hard efforts. I mean, for me, it's one and done. If I'm dropped, I'm done. It's over. I cannot catch back up in my races.
And there was a number of attacks, as you can see in this race, and I'm surprised that just about the entire peloton stayed together. So almost every other race, when there's been attacks like this, it's just split up like crazy.
Yeah, and here, again, being more efficient, you see the young lady, I think you said Dara, she moved to the right. That's where you should be. Mm-hmm. You can draft the serious cycling lady here, but there's better wind protection over in the right where the rest of the group is.
I'm pretty sure she's going to love you for calling her a young lady. She's the, one of the older women in the race, and it's just great to see her out here. And that's Deb in front of me from Serious Cycling. I know she's looking forward to the video coming out.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. You can definitely be way better tucked in. You need to be up there in behind women, and to the right side would be a little better. You don't have to be all the way to the right, but there's just better protection in there. You're just back here pushing your own wind. So you have to be a little bit more decisive, and you definitely have to be committed to, to drafting. That's your number one thing. Any crit race, committed to saving energy should be number one for every rider. I don't even care if you're a breakaway rider. If you like doing hard efforts and you're a breakaway rider, the more efficient you are, the more you draft, the more pressure you can put on the group during your breakaways. It's not about proving how strong you are or anything like that. Every rider out there needs to pick and choose when I'm going to do an effort and when I'm going to protect and be efficient. And that is the main thing with crit races, any type of mass starts. So road races, crit races, that's the main thing. If you're doing time trials or something else is obviously you can't draft most of the time. So that's just a different story. But when you have these mass starts, you have to take advantage of all the energy savings. So I think here's not a bad deal. I just do not know why you're riding so far off to the left here. And I know you might be thinking like, oh, it's a better line, but it's not a better line if you have to push your own wind. You got to be in there with everyone else. And it's not a better line because if you're trying to hit an apex, you can't because the riders are there. So basically all you did was take the long way around the course there.
Yeah, the good thing about it is I only used about, I think the most was 165 watts. And so then I'm up and trying to tuck back in here. And there's Ashley.
Yeah, but don't look at it as I only used 165 watts because if you're in the draft, you're using less than 165 watts. It's still energy saving, like you're doing now. You're using less. And here, even now, like as they're starting to speed up, you're out in the wind instead of being tucked into your right. And since Ashley didn't go so hard, it would have been okay to jump on her wheel because she wasn't in a breakaway or whatever else. But if you look at it, you're just kind of passive and you let her ride off. And you see Kat's there on Ashley's wheel. But even here, I think you can be tucked in a little bit better to your right. So you see Laura up there from Lagrange. I think Laura's taking a pull up there. Laura's gotten really strong. I used to coach Laura last year. I don't coach her now, but she's done a really good job of strength training. I think she's been, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name now. Lizzie. I think she was working strength training with Lizzie, and she's done a lot of work on the track. So Laura's gotten a lot stronger. And she did a great job this race also. I won't give away the race position yet, maybe till the end, but she did a great job and had a great finish.
I'll give it away because sometimes we don't get to it. She came in 6th after chasing a number of moves and doing some work in the front. So great job to her. I know she was happy with the results also.
There's Dara on another attack right there. I think Kat's trying to follow it.
And I'm struggling to hang on.
Well, it's the same thing. You started off just off to the left in the wind. So even you're putting in decent watts before the surge even hit. I'm pretty sure most of those girls are not doing 300 watts. But you're back here by yourself doing 300 watts. So if you're just in the draft there, you're probably doing, 200, 220. Yeah, it's not like I said, sometimes you have to do this. Sometimes you have to humble yourself a little bit, but it's a good thing because like I said, you were feeling so good yesterday. You did great numbers during the TT. So of course you're going to be confident and you're going to take some things for granted, but it just has to be a good mix and you're not out of the race or anything. You're still in contention. You're just not making the best decisions right now, but again, that just proves like how strong you are, and once you get everything right, of how effective you will be once you do the right things.
Yeah, a little bit of lack of discipline of just sticking to what I know I should be working on in the crits, which is drafting. So every once in a while in the race I'd try to go back to it, and here I am trying to sit in, but we'll see how long it lasts.
And you should be tucked in a little further, like, you should be up closer. If you see Noemi right there, like she's, really close, that's where you should be. You should be in there, like kind of right to her left. And that's just a good spot for you to be. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I think a lot of time is just I don't know if it's patience is the right word, but you seem like you ride impatient, like you always are going around someone instead of sitting behind them. So anyway, there's only a couple laps left in the race. I'm guessing maybe 2 or 3 laps left.
So yeah, I was definitely thinking of kind of the end and needing to be in better position. So I'm going to try to find a way to move up. And I wasn't really feeling, that I could do such a hard effort. So, I made my way up to Kat.
Well, well, originally, you were the one man for this race. Originally, they were gonna, you were gonna kind of be the one to sprint at the end for this race. But, with the energy that you've used in this race, that kind of changed.
Well, and there Ashley did an attack. So we just had a preem lap. So, that's usually a good time to do an attack. Now, the initial plan might have been a little earlier on, but Ashley does a great attack coming from the back, so stretches it out here.
Yeah,
And
she has a good gap off the front right now.
And so that was kind of fun to see. And, she actually did a real attack coming from a, further back position and having a little snap in her legs. So kind of fun to see. And she wasn't really feeling so great, a little out of shape. I think a little bit ago she was off the bike for 12 days. So
Yeah.
trying to recover from that.
Yeah, she's just been traveling a little bit, but I think it was a great attack by Ashley. She actually went slightly earlier than we wanted her to. I didn't want her to attack until after the finish line, but she saw her momentum. She had kind of gotten the slingshot off the draft, had momentum, so she just went for it, which is a great job, great instincts. So yeah, I just think it caught you off guard a little bit here. So again, just using kind of energy, and it's a good thing though, and it's great that all of our teammates are team players and they're not worried about who finishes first or anything, because being that they were gonna race for you, now that you've used energy and you can tell like, hey, I'm not feeling it a little bit, it's great that you went up and communicated to them that, hey, I'm not the person this time, and Kat, we're gonna let you take it.
Yeah, so, and there's Jules right there. She raced such a good race this weekend. She comes in first, wins the whole race. So just in case we forget to say it, she needs all the credit she deserves. So congratulations to Jules. And, she had a number of people yelling things out to her in the race. So she's made a number of frenemies. So she was closing moves. And one time I loved it. Somebody called out right side when I was coming up. I'm not sure if we missed it, but I love that she kind of slid over and I was able to kind of jump in her draft.
So yeah, the theme of this one is just better drafting, because right there on that last straightaway and turn, like you're just off to the inside a little bit, just like you're doing now. Even though it's not a lot of watts, like it's just not a good habit. But if you're trying to move up for a reason, then that's one thing. But there's almost always opportunities to use other people's energy, still stay in the draft, and just use their energy when you're trying to move up. This race also had a lot of women that I've never seen before in the race.
Yeah. And knowing that the last couple laps get super stretched out, I was feeling a little bit of anxiety to be towards the front instead of towards the back. But yeah, getting better at kind of moving up person to person, or
Yeah.
staying near the front is an even better solution to that.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. Now, the characteristics of this turn. You don't want to be really tight to the right. Look how many people are to the left there. It's just not a good place to be when you're going in 4 or 5 wide. I know there's no incident or anything like that, but I'm just saying for future reference, when you're really that, when it's 5 riders across or whatever, you don't really want to be that tight like that. Give yourself a little bit of room. So it's a good move here. This is the last lap.
And this is where somebody's calling to Jules and she moves over and I'm able to get in her draft. So we probably have 2 to go maybe.
No, I think, is this not the last lap? It's 1 to go then. I think this is maybe going into the bell lap after this.
Okay.
Because the laps are roughly 3 minutes, 240, 230, stuff like that.
So yeah, I was here in a position that I really liked. So being up, 6 wheel here or so,
Yeah.
But then Jules starts to kind of tuck back in, and
Yeah.
I struggled to tuck back in also.
And Kat's super strong. You see Michelle trying to get off the front a little bit there. She's stretching it out. I don't know if she's really trying to get off the front or if she's just trying to make it hard. But Kat's really strong. She also, because she's super strong, like sometimes she uses a little bit of energy, and we just got to get her to be more efficient as well, and just be a little patient, save her energy also. Because yeah, she's definitely as strong as any of the other girls in this race. But she does sometimes use energy as well, like just pulling when there's no need to pull, stuff like that. But yeah, this is only like her second race or third race, so she's definitely going to get a lot better, and I wouldn't be surprised if she on the podium or wins a race pretty soon.
And there, you saw I was following Lisa. She's just, I think, to my left now. But she does a great job coming in second. So, and Sherry's right there. She wins the Masters. But here, I'm going to come up beside Kat and let her know that just I'm not feeling it, and I'm going to try to do what I can to lead her out.
Yeah, I think the thing is you're just a little early. I mean, of course, notifying her, you got to do that. But I think once you end up going, you just go a little too early. It's okay to use other people's if they're keeping the pace fast. It's okay to use them, let it stretch out.
And I was really kind of second guessing myself. Like, should I try to lead her out? Should I sit right here and just kind of see what happens at the end? But because I knew I wasn't really feeling a snap, I was gonna try to help a teammate out. But yeah, you're kind of playing games in your head of what to do. Because right here I'm sitting in really good position, and I think I should have just been patient.
Yeah, and Kat could protect herself a little bit better now. I know she's really strong, so she's just sitting there not worried about it, but it's still, you just save a little bit of energy being tucked in. So here I think is perfect. Honestly, even if you're gonna lead Kat out, you should probably sit here for a second and just see, are the girls keeping it fast or not? If they keep it fast, don't do this effort. Yeah, because here you could have waited, you had a lot of room to wait. You do a great job of picking up the pace and stretching it out. I think probably, may have went a little bit hard on the acceleration. I don't think you needed to do 450 or 400 watts. Probably like you're doing now, like a 300 watt effort would have done, just fine. But I really think you should have waited. Right now, you should have let the other girls still be there. And I don't think you should have went hard until going into turn 3. I would have taken the lead just before turn 3. And then you should have went hard going to turn 4. And then just as hard as you can coming out of turn 4 to lead Kat out and let her get the draft and come around you.
Yeah, seeing it play back with it being stretched out with 3 people in front of me. Why did I need to go around? I absolutely did not at that time. So you're going to see it.
But it's okay,
It's just death.
It's okay. Lead outs are hard to get right because you either go too early or you go too late. You go too late, you lost. You go too early, you blow up the lead out. But it doesn't mean that that Kat doesn't still have a chance because she can still use other riders. So here, you're kind of dead and slowed down to a point where they felt they'd pass you. There's Kat going around you there. So as I said, you see Kat still has a chance. She can just jump back in third wheel or so, and now she uses them as a lead out.
And that's what I was hoping. So, at this point, I'm just hoping that she does that. And
yeah, I just think, we just went through it. But if you would have went a little bit later, like right here, if you would have died here, that would be perfect. And then she sprints the rest of the way.
Well, I died all right and came in just about last.
Yeah, it's fine though. You did a lead out. I mean, you're not going to come in second or third or whatever. If you truly do a lead out to where you blow yourself up, that's what it's for.
So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we'll get the team time trial up, relatively soon, but we will see you next time.